In every single decade, the Toronto Blue Jays have had a premium slugger. In 2025, you had Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
The GOAT.
In 2015, you had Jose Bautista and his Robin Edwin Encarnacion. 2005 had the likes of Vernon Wells, while the late 90s and early 2000s were dominated by Carlos Delgado. If that's a name you don't know, I think you should click off this video. No, I'm just joking. Every single player who has ever had a 30 plus home run season with the Toronto Blue Jays is on this list. And according to my research, that is 26 different names. If I'm forgetting someone who's from the 70s or way back in the day, my bad. Ranking them from the 26th spot to the greatest slugger to wear our jersey. Always, as always, this is my opinion, and we may agree to disagree. That's the beauty of sports. If you'd like to do this with a friend or a family member as well, I made a tier list with all 26 players so you can rank them out yourself, and then compare it with my list and say how wrong I am.
Yay! Woohoo!
Link will be in the description. Let's get into it. Also, if you could like the video, that would be awesome as always, and enjoy. In the number 26 position, we have Jose Canseco. Steroids was his game. He was a big part of that era of baseball where every big name hitter was on steroids. A major bad apple. During the peak of this era, Jose Canseco wrote his name as a powerful slugger in terms of production, but is a confirmed user of roids during his playing days. In fact, he has a whole book. Also, you can add the nickname The Chemist. Wait a minute. To be fair, when you look at his rookie card, this guy came in looking like a Baywatch actor instead of a major leaguer in 1985. Seriously, this guy was taking roids in the minor league system. Someone had to stop him. His one lone season north of the border in Toronto consisted of 46 home runs and 107 RBIs at the age of 33 in 1998. A career high in home runs. He was a great slugger, with the roids, who joined after the departure of then icon Joe Carter to fill the DH role. Nonetheless, these stats are all invalidated because it's a clear indication of how steroids gave these guys crazy power numbers. A lot of different names you'd consider nowhere near his slugging level, his skill level, are ahead of him due to the roids. Do the crime, pay the price, and that's all for the Baywatch actor, Jose Canseco. In the number 25 position, we have Troy Gloss, another man from the heralded steroid era. Fun fact, he had a season with the Angels, hitting 47 home runs, an OPS over 1,000, not a single MVP vote. What a fun time to be a baseball fan if that doesn't get you an MVP vote. His 2 seasons in Toronto were good, nothing to the level of his peak seasons with the Angels. Seems like the Angels had the best steroid villagers in the entire server realm, as Troy Gloss's best season as a Jay was in 06, hitting 36 home runs and 104 RBIs. He does deny the allegations of steroids and hasn't come clean, unlike Canseco. In fact, I probably should have put him in last place, but hey, whatever. I did have him way higher earlier on when I was ranking them, but then I saw an article saying he ordered some steroids from his pharmacy. Then the whole allegations against that Angels team. So this guy was dropped down a ton due to unconfirmed roids. Honestly, let's be real, he was probably on roids. Still, over the 2 seasons, he hit 58 home runs as a Blue Jay, giving him the 25th spot on my list. In the number 24 position, we have Randall Grichuk. Yup, Randall Grichuk is on this list. Honestly, he was a decent option in the outfield for his tenure with the Jays from 2018 to 2021. His 30-plus homer season in 2019 was a mixture of getting ample playing time in the outfield every day and being part of the rebuild phase in Toronto. So really, apart from that one season of good production, he's been a career journeyman since, and it's only fair we show more love to older names on the list.
Sorry, Pritchard.
However, within just 4 years as a J, he racked up 90 home runs. During a rebuilding era in Toronto, he helped us sit through a lot of tough years when it felt like the highs of 2016 was a verbatim at that juncture.
You guys understand that line right there? Damn.
I still do wish he wasn't so up and down as a hitter, because when he got cold, he was cold. Pritchard to even be in this conversation is a testament to that great season in 2019 for one, and you didn't use steroids, so hey, well done. In the number 23rd position, we have Brad Fulmer, a name most of us probably haven't heard of. Originally starting out with the Expos in 1997 and became a Blue Jay in the 1999 offseason, in a deal that involved a Cy Young winner in Chris Carpenter. Yup, just our luck. Still, he only really got going with the Cardinals later in his career. Brad Fulmer, on the other hand, was a lefty power bat who played first base and instantly made an impact, having his breakout season of 32 home runs and 104 RBIs. Sadly, this was the most notable season of production, as he never reached the same heights, hitting a total of only 50 home runs as a Blue Jay. Damn. He did get a World Series ring under his belt with the Angels in 2002. Yes, at one point in history, the Angels were a competent franchise winning a World Series.
Jeez Louise, why couldn't Ohtani have just been born 2 decades earlier and he would have been an Angel for life?
Okay, but still. On to the next player. In the number 22nd position, we have Justin Smoke.
Hits this one high and deep. This has got a chance. Get him, ball guy.
I think a lot of us have a soft spot for Justin Smoke, and he finds himself 22nd on my list. Joining the Jays in 2015, seen more as a depth piece first baseman, it turned out he'd have his best season in the major leagues with the Jays in 2017. Following the departure of Edwin Encarnacion to the Guardians, Chris Colabello getting lasagna laced with PEDs from somebody, I don't know who, Smoke would pounce on the chance, and he put up his best season ever, hitting 38 home runs with 90 RBIs and being one of the few bright spots of that injury-riddled 2017 season. In his 5 years in Toronto, he hit 117 home runs in a Blue Jays uniform. For Smoke, that 1 year really did help build his legacy as a fan favorite and a guy who looked like a complete bust with the Mariners, and he completely changed it around in Toronto. In the number 21 position, we have Jose Cruz Jr. The Blue Jays got Jose Cruz Jr. from the Mariners in 1997. The hype was real for one of the best prospects at the time, joining Toronto, starting out slow his first few seasons and officially slugging in the year 2000, hitting 31 home runs and 76 RBIs. The next season was another great year, getting his tally up to 34 home runs and 88 RBIs. Still, for a guy drafted 3rd overall and considered a 5-tool talent at his peak, only having 2 seasons of solid power, the trade for the Mariners should have looked way more lopsided, but it didn't. He played 5 seasons in Toronto and hit 122 home runs as a Blue Jay. For an everyday outfielder as a Jay, and having some of the greatest era-defining eyewear, he finds himself 21st on the list. Number 20. Adam Lind. A long run for Adam Lind. That is really why he earns this spot on the list. Playing 9 Major League seasons in Toronto, truly having a stellar season in 2009, hitting 35 home runs and 114 RBIs. For Adam Lind, it was that one defining season, and furthermore, just mediocrity. Playing in an era of Blue Jays baseball where we were unwatchable at times, and Adam Lind made it more bearable. Though I did think he'd have more seasons of 30 plus home runs, but it was just that one. Hitting a total of 146 home runs in 9 seasons. I really do think that 2009 season winning a Silver Slugger award, getting some MVP votes, was the reason I ranked him 20th. Number 19, John Mayberry, like the blackberry. Oh, now you may disagree with me and say, why is John Mayberry from the ancient times this high on the list? God damn it. Well, one,
We need to respect our heritage.
guys like John Mayberry may go under the radar to you, but for me, this was the original Slugger. Joining the Jays in the year 1978, he had the first 30 home run season in 1980 with 30 home runs and 82 RBIs. Who knows the amount of players and people that he had an effect on. In only 4 seasons, he had 92 home runs and being one of the pioneers of slugging as a Blue Jay. Number 18, Ed Sprague. Ed Sprague was a testament to his longevity with his team from the 1991 season to 1997, playing 7 seasons for Toronto. Granted, he never really was a power hitter with his one lone season of actual power in 1996, hitting 36 home runs with 101 RBIs. So unlike all the other guys on the list so far, why is he even in the 18th spot? Hitting a total of 113 home runs as a Blue Jay in 7 seasons. A history lesson back to the 1992 season for one of the clutchest home runs in the history of baseball. The Braves had taken Game 1 and the Jays were down 4-3 in the 9th inning of Game 2 of the World Series. Back against the wall. At this time, this was a young Ed Sprague who really hasn't shown much as a hitter. Derek Bell gets a walk, and surprisingly, the then skipper Seidel Gaston calls for Ed to pinch hit. You know the amount of pressure that was on this guy? Facing an elite closer, he put a drive into that one over the left field wall and won the Jays the game with the score 5-4.
Deion Sanders, home run, Ed Sprague. Off the bench with a pinch hit 2-run homer off Jeff Reardon to give the Toronto Blue Jays a 5-4 lead.
That is the first pinch homer for the Blue Jays this year. And is it ever a big one? Wow.
One of those home runs I know a lot of you don't hear of. And to be fair, I didn't know much of the home run as well. Fact of the matter is, without that home run, the Jays go down 0-2 in the 1992 World Series, and really, we would just have one World Series ring to talk about. And for that reason, Ed finds himself 18th on my list. Number 17, Aaron Hill. Aaron Hill was a Blue Jay for 6 seasons, and from the second base position, looked like he was going to be a future star in the 09 season. He slugged his way to a Silver Slugger, an all-star appearance, and his stats of 36 home runs with 108 RBIs made it seem that he was going to turn out to be a superstar. Then came a lackluster 2010 campaign. Then he was traded. Yeah, that was pretty anticlimactic. Granted, he would find success again with the Diamondbacks. His 6 seasons in Toronto consisted of him hitting a total of 96 home runs as a Blue Jay. Him being this high on the list is a nod to him being a second baseman who slugged those numbers with 100 plus RBIs. Something you really don't see from that position, getting him the 17th spot. Number 16, Teoscar Hernandez. What could have been? Teoscar Hernandez was an everyday outfielder for the Toronto Blue Jays who was a beloved member of the Jays for 5 seasons, hitting over 30 home runs in 2 seasons and a season with 116 RBIs. He became a fan favorite and an elite bat. Granted, his fielding was always questionable, below average, but the bat he had was always more than not reliable, trading him in 2022 for Eric Swanson as he was a free agent the following season. It was a trade that realistically some viewed as a win, but if you're a glazer of Theo and loved him in Toronto, I saw it as a very stupid move, to move a guy who was loved by your entire clubhouse for an arm that still hasn't paid the same dividends. I mean, we got lucky with Barger, so
If he doesn't go, does Barger really get the position?
again, still, it was an analytical move that hasn't panned out. To make it even worse, Teoscar would join the Dodgers, and he'd win a World Series back in Toronto, but instead wearing the opponent's jersey. That is more on the front office than anything. He even could have maybe re-signed with us. This spot seemed fair to put Teoscar Hernandez for his contributions to the new era of Blue Jays baseball and having 2 seasons of 30+ home runs and elite production. Part of the golden generation of Blue Jays baseball. 2-time World Series champion, Kelly Gruber.
I'm probably saying that wrong, but hey.
Having been a Blue Jay for over 9 seasons and peaking at the right time, his best statistical season, slugging, was in 1990, hitting 31 home runs with 118 RBIs for the 1990 Blue Jays. A total he never really got close to reaching again, but he remained a consistent player for the Jays, hitting over 117 home runs with the Blue Jays over 9 seasons. Granted, you may disagree with this spot, but the man with 2 rings on his fingers deserves the 15th spot on my list. Number 14, Tony Batista. Honestly, it feels like I was robbed, you were robbed, not being able to watch Tony Batista play the game of baseball. He had one of the funkiest and unique batting styles you'll ever see from a major leaguer. And honestly, he's probably the funkiest in period. He played as a Jay for 2.5 seasons from 1999 to the 01 season, with his best season in the majors being the year 2000, hitting 41 home runs with 114 RBIs. This man used to stare into the soul of a pitcher before getting into a stance and hitting the ball at the stadium more times than not. No, we definitely won a World Series if this guy was in the lineup. In just a short span, he got up to 80 home runs as a Blue Jay. I think this was a fair spot to rank him as his tenure was short, but that one elite season, the fact of the matter is, to do that with that type of stats, he deserves the 14th spot on my list. If this was a ranking of the funkiest batting stances though, I genuinely believe you are the funkiest out of all the players I have ever seen. Finding clips was kind of hard, but honestly, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame just for that stance. Number 13, George Springer. Recency bias. Yeah, meet George Springer. A man not so long ago was on the verge of fizzling out baseball and retirement. Instead, he's a story of how you can rewrite your story at any time, at any age. And George Springer in the 2025 season looked much more like his old self, adding the fact he hit so well in the postseason, had the home run in the ALCS, already a top 3 home run for me, winning the Silver Slugger award and getting MVP votes. I know a lot of guys before him on the list have had better production overall, but in terms of hitting an iconic home run and being part of the World Series run this past season, gets him the 13th spot on this list. Number 12, Marcus Semien. This was a hard one to really pick out where to put. On one hand, it was just one season where we didn't even get to make the postseason. On the other hand though, this was one of those special years of a second baseman putting it all together as a player. 45 home runs out of a second baseman is an anomaly. In fact, it's the most ever by a second baseman ever. Granted, this was his contract year, and he played to get paid, and he got paid by the Rangers on a massive 7-year deal for $175 million. Looking back, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But as of 2025, he was traded to the New York Mets. The Rangers still got plenty out of him. A World Series ring in 2022, he had a year where he finished top 3 in MVP. Again, it's a sign of how the Blue Jays front office tends to
Purely run on analytics.
then paying big against other big spenders when you have a whole country behind you. Is he more iconic than a lot of guys on this list in terms of name? No. Yet the sheer fact of hitting 45 home runs as a second baseman in the modern era gets him 12th on the list. Number 11, Jesse Barfield. Like Garfield, sorry. Jesse Barfield. It's a guy who slowly but surely matured into a slugging powerhouse for the Blue Jays in the mid-80s, having his best statistical season in 1986 with 40 home runs and 108 RBIs, giving the Jays a much-needed reliable power bat in the lineup. Over 8 seasons, he hit 179 home runs for the Toronto Blue Jays. Unlike Simeon, who only had 1 season of elite power, but for his total longevity and being part of the 80s renaissance of building Toronto into a culture of baseball, he finds himself 11th on my list. Number 10, Shawn Green. The post-World Series teams had a guy by the name of Shawn Green, who had consecutive elite seasons. In 1998, he had the very first 30 for 30 season, 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases, then followed up with another elite season in 1999 with 45 home runs and 123 RBIs. Then Shawn Green asking to be moved as the Jays could not and would not pay for his contract demands, and he was traded to the dreaded Dodgers. He ended up hitting 119 home runs in 5 seasons as a Blue Jay. He finds himself 10th on my list, and if he was a Blue Jay for a bit longer, I have no question in my mind he would have ended up much closer to top 5. Still, 2 elite seasons and the first 30 for 30 in Blue Jays history. 9th, Vernon Wells. Being a Blue Jay for over a decade, Vernon Wells, as introduced earlier in this video, is a beloved player in our history. Statistically, his peak slugging seasons of 30 plus home runs came in 03, 06, and 010, hitting 33 home runs and 117 RBIs in his best season in 03. For a lot of people who grew up in this era of Blue Jays baseball, he was one of the rocks they counted on, and he's very high statistically in a lot of categories for the Blue Jays all time, hitting a total of 223 home runs in 12 seasons as a Blue Jay. However, I think 9th is a fair spot for Vernon Wells. Number 8, George Bell. Before Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion, the 80s had George Bell and Jesse Barfield. This man would have made an amazing actor during the 80s, like seriously. Considered a fiery player during his playing days, he racked up 9 major league seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays. Then add an MVP award and arguably one of the greatest slugging performances in our history by a hitter. 47 home runs with 134 RBIs in the 1987 season. Bell the year prior hit for 31 home runs and 108 RBIs, making it 2 seasons of 30 plus home runs. In 9 seasons, he put up 202 home runs, being a member of the level of excellence off the fact of his MVP season and being Barfield's running partner in building baseball culture in Toronto. He earns the 8th spot. Number 7, Fred McGriff. Wow, the very first Hall of Famer on my list. Fred McGriff, originally drafted by the Blue Jays, he would have 3 consecutive seasons of 30 plus home runs from 1988 to 1990, being an MVP combo all 3 seasons. However, it wasn't slugging that got him this spot this high. He was the focal trading piece the Blue Jays traded to the San Diego Padres for then youngsters Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter.
Man, I really wonder what they ended up doing.
Hitting a total of 125 home runs in his short spell with the Jays over his Hall of Fame resume, ending up with 493 over his career. For Toronto, not only did he have 3 seasons of elite level production, but he was a pioneer of the World Series teams and the 2 iconic names becoming Blue Jays. Number 6, Josh Donaldson. I don't know why I just did that, my bad. The bringer of rain. The nickname in itself speaks to his power. You already have a video for yourself on this channel, but man,
how can we not talk about you?
Sparked the 2015 and 2016 Jays, who would outslug you with a big 3, with 2 other members still yet to be named. For some fan bases, they'd see our 2015 and 2016 season and see it as a failure, but the effect it had in bringing eyes back to baseball in Canada was unprecedented. Now back to Donaldson. He was this hotshot third baseman who, geez, he won an MVP award, 2 Silver Sluggers, 3-time All-Star, and 3 seasons of elite slugging from 2015
That
to
thing's
2017,
green.
hitting a total of 41 home runs in his MVP campaign in 2016. In total, he put up 116 home runs as a Blue Jay. We really did get robbed of seeing him play more in 2017 due to injuries. Still, for the 3.5 seasons we had with this guy, he was that guy. For me, he just about earned this spot just outside the top 5 at number 6. Number 5, Edwin Encarnacion. Eddie Double E. Just spoke about you in a recent video. Damn, that's a lot of guys I just keep talking about over and over again. It only seems fitting. He is just ahead of Josh Donaldson, as both of them really got into a groove around the same time. For Edwin though, he had 5 major league seasons of 30 plus home runs, and 2 with 42 home runs coming in the 2012 season, and the more memorable 2016 season. He has the postseason clutch home run, and the production, hitting a total of 239 home runs over his 8 seasons in Toronto. His slugging with Donaldson, and for the last name left on this list, carried that era of the Blue Jays. Number 4, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, this might be a bit controversial. Nah, not really. His all-time numbers aren't up there yet, but it's only a matter of time till Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has more elite seasons under his belt and takes the number 1 spot. For now, what has he accomplished? 3 seasons of 30 plus home runs, and of course, the astronomical 2021 season where he slugged 48 home runs with 111 RBIs and an OPS, oh yeah, let's just say, over 1,000. I made a video before the whole season in 2025 where he was struggling a bit, and every skeptic who was whining about a franchise worth billions of dollars giving out a massive contract that every other mega rich franchise will give him, those dudes are back into their caves after the 2025 season. It was a postseason to remember, and if it wasn't for the shoddiest closer, a World Series ring would be on his resume, already having hit 183 home runs for the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's a number that's only going to keep rising. In short, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is deservedly the 4th player on my list, and will only keep rising. Number 3, Joe Carter. The name is synonymous with the Blue Jays. Heck, he has a statue being built as we speak. I think we all know what he did in the World Series, what he accomplished as a player, and the elite production for multiple seasons. Let's highlight something else. Players can sometimes tend to put their franchise in uncomfortable positions, taking for granted the effect they have off the field to the fans, to the people who view the games. Joe Carter, on the other hand, was the model citizen. Don't think anyone will get an FM reference, but here we go. Carter had the perfect model citizen personality trait. If you know, you know. 30 plus home runs in 4 different seasons, and 6 seasons of 100 plus RBIs with the Blue Jays. In 7 seasons with the Jays, he produced 203 home runs. He had the production in the regular season, the postseason moment that has a statue being built, and above all else, the character of a baseball icon. For that reason, Joe Carter, you are 3rd on my list. For anyone who lived, grew up, and or cared about the Blue Jays, his name clings to your brain. Number 2, Carlos Delgado. Very, very, very close to being number 1. Carlos Delgado.
He's not. Ball hit in the air. Goodbye. Lord have mercy.
Arguably the greatest slugger in our history, but 2nd on my list, which is nothing to scoff at for a guy who has Hall of Fame level production and 11 seasons of 30 plus home runs. Just let that sink in. 3 seasons of 40 plus home runs and more than 130 RBIs. He was a monster. That's really all I can say. Also forgot to mention, he had 2 seasons of over 1,000 OPS, just to throw that in. He's one of those players you feel bad for, as the roid users that I mentioned earlier like Canseco, Bonds, and others of his era completely blindsided the level of production Delgado produced year after year after year for the Blue Jays, hitting a total of 336 home runs, number 1 all time obviously, with the Blue Jays before heading to the Mets. A few people say, oh, but he never won anything, he just stat padded. Please. It's harder when you don't have the surrounding pieces and you still put up elite numbers like it's a cakewalk. His accolade page, when I go to MLB stat reference, is nowhere near what it should be for a guy who single-handedly has every all-time record to himself and deservedly is second on this list. Man, looking at those Delgado highlights really had me questioning the spot, but don't overthink it. One man, one name, and the winner of the greatest slugger to wear a Blue Jays jersey is, of course, Jose Bautista. Most home runs in a single major league season as a Jay, 54 home runs. Arguably the most iconic home run in the postseason, he put Toronto on the map. His production, 4 elite 30-plus home run seasons, and of course the 2010-2011 seasons, which need no explanation to how special he was. OPS of 995 in 2010, and an OPS of 1056 in 2011. Of course, now the third musketeer in the holy trinity of 2015 and 16 has been revealed. That was Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Bautista. He fits all 3 of the main takeaways at the start of this video. He's iconic, he's beloved, and he was elite in his prime. Jose Bautista. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this video. Yes, we finally made it. This one took a lot to make, but it was a fun ride, and honestly, researching into these historic slugging seasons only broadens my view on the game, and hopefully gave you some insight to the guy who's eating some Oreos right now, or maybe you're eating Cheetos, I don't know, to the greatest sluggers who wore a Blue Jays jersey. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful day and enjoying spring training. Keep watching your Blue Jays, and peace.